Hey, future finance gurus, are you ready to ditch the calculator for a second, really dive deep into what it means to be an accounting manager? We're talking about the masterminds behind the scenes, the ones making sure the financial gears are always turning. We're here to break it all down, and lucky for us, we've got an expert to help us out.
Always happy to geek out about accounting.
Aha, I like it. So, you know how we always start with the intel you guys send over?
Yeah.
Well, this time we're tapping into some seriously good stuff from RoleCatcher.
Yeah.
They're like the career whisperer,
Yeah.
with a platform to help you navigate all things work. And they've got this awesome guide for aspiring accounting managers, which is basically our treasure map for this deep dive.
RoleCatcher always keeps it real practical, which I appreciate. So I'm curious to see what they're highlighting here.
Me too. Let's get down to brass tacks. The guide kicks off by calling accounting managers guardians of accuracy, which sounds pretty official, but what's that actually mean in the real world of finance?
Okay, so it's definitely more than just balancing the books. We're talking about the financial statements companies release to investors and the public. Making sure those numbers are squeaky clean is mission critical.
So it's like they're financial detectives, making sure everything's legit so everyone gets a clear picture of how the company's actually performing.
Exactly. Guardians of transparency and accountability. Investors are relying on these reports to make big decisions, so inaccurate information can have some major consequences.
No pressure, right?
Right.
High stakes from the get-go. The guide also dives into some of the day-to-day stuff, but I gotta know, what does this actually look like in practice? Are we talking like endless spreadsheets and screen time?
Well, let's be real. There will be spreadsheets. That's part of the game. But it's not all number crunching. A huge part of the role is about communication. Taking those numbers and making them make sense for other departments. It's like translating financial data into something actionable.
So they're like the bridge between the financial world and everyone else. Sounds like you need some serious communication skills for that.
100%.
Yeah.
You got to explain complex financial stuff in a way that clicks for people who aren't living in a world of debits and credits.
Makes sense. Now let's talk perks. Everyone wants to know about those.
Mm-hmm.
And the guide highlights high earning potential as a major pro. But let's be real for a sec. No job's perfect. What are we trading off here?
Yeah, the guide does mention high stress levels, especially during crunch time, and the end of the financial year, reporting deadlines, audits, that kind of thing. Accuracy is key, so there's definitely pressure to get it right.
High stakes, high pressure. You've been there, I'm sure. Aside from the stress, what about work-life balance? Can you actually have a life outside those spreadsheets?
It can definitely be demanding, especially as you climb the ladder. But honestly, a lot depends on the company culture and how good you are at setting boundaries. Some organizations are way better than others at promoting work-life balance.
That's a good point. Something to keep in mind for sure.
Yeah.
Now, how do you even get started on this career path? What are the typical steps to becoming an accounting manager?
Well, you got to start with a solid foundation, right? The guide says a bachelor's degree in accounting, something in that realm. That's usually the ticket to entry.
Right? Makes
Yeah.
sense. But then there's all those certifications I've definitely heard of, CPA, CMA. What's the deal with those? Do they actually move the needle when you're job hunting?
Oh, they can, for sure. It's like a signal boost to employers.
Yeah.
These certifications tell them you've got that specialized knowledge and skills. It's like a stamp of approval from the pros in the field.
So you're not just another face in the spreadsheet crowd.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it shows you're serious about your career, always learning and leveling up. Employers love to see that.
Right, always leveling up. Speaking of which, the guide also mentioned AI and automation. How is all that tech shaking things up for accounting managers?
It's a game changer for sure. We're seeing AI taking over a lot of the repetitive tasks, like data entry, which frees up accounting managers to focus on the big picture strategic stuff.
So less time in the weeds, more time actually making an impact.
Exactly. They can really dig into those trends, identify risks, provide insights that help the company make smarter financial decisions. It's an exciting time to be in the field, no doubt.
Sounds like you got to be adaptable, always down to learn new tech and tools.
100%. The only constant is change, right?
Truer words. Okay, so we've talked tech skills, but the guide also stressed soft skills, like communication persuasion. Why are those so crucial for a role that seems so numbers-oriented?
Because at its core, accounting is about people. You got to be able to connect with stakeholders, explain financial performance to executives, negotiate budgets with department heads, that kind of thing.
So you're not just crunching numbers, you're building relationships, making sure everyone's on the same page.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that takes communication, negotiation, even some conflict resolution skills.
You mentioned conflict resolution. Any memorable moments where those skills were really put to the test?
Oh, I'm sure every accounting manager has a story or two. I remember early in my career, there was a situation where the numbers weren't adding up between what our team had and what another department had budgeted for a big project.
Oh, sounds like a spreadsheet showdown brewing.
Could have been, but instead of getting defensive or playing the blame game, I actually just took a step back and listened to their side. We walked through the numbers together step by step until we found the root of the issue.
And what was it? A misplaced decimal point?
Funny you should say that. Turns out the two departments were using different accounting methods for a specific expense category. Once we figured that out, we were able to find some common ground and adjust the budget.
That's a perfect example of how communication and collaboration can save the day, even when you're dealing with something as seemingly dry as accounting.
Absolutely. It's about finding solutions that work for everyone.
So we've covered a lot of ground here, from technical skills to soft skills, challenges, rewards. Based on everything we've talked about,
Mm.
what are your thoughts on the accounting manager role? Is this a path you'd consider?
Yeah, it's definitely a lot to think about. Sounds like you need a good mix of, analytical chops, communication skills, even a little diplomacy.
You got it. You're not just dealing with numbers, you're dealing with the people behind them. And that brings a whole other level of complexity.
Speaking of navigating complexity, RoleCatcher also talks about career progression. Where can this role take you? Is it all about climbing the corporate ladder, or are there other paths out there? That's what I love about this field. So many possibilities. You could climb that ladder, become a controller, CFO, or maybe specialize in something like tax accounting, forensic accounting.
Ooh, getting to like white-collar crime. That's a whole other level of intrigue.
Keeps things interesting for sure. And with tech evolving the way it is, there are even more opportunities popping up. Data analytics, financial technology, all that good stuff.
So it's like this role is always changing,
Mhm.
which makes sense, right? The world of finance never sits still.
Exactly. So if you're someone who thrives on learning new things, tackling new challenges, this could be a good fit.
And for anyone listening who's maybe feeling a little overwhelmed by all this info, remember, RoleCatcher has your back. They've got tons of resources to help you explore all these options.
They do. Their platform's awesome, connecting you with jobs, career advice, even helping you build the skills you need to really succeed.
Like having a career coach in your back pocket. Now, before we wrap up, I want to circle back to something you said earlier about impact. What does that actually mean to you as an accounting manager?
For me, it's about using your skills to make a difference. Helping a company grow the right way, making sure things are transparent, even just mentoring the next generation of accounting rock stars.
So it's like looking beyond the numbers and seeing the bigger picture, how those financial decisions actually impact people's lives.
Exactly. It's about that sweet spot where your passion meets your purpose.
Love that.
Oh,
So as you're exploring this career path, ask yourself, what kind of mark do I want to make? Because at the end of the day, being an accounting manager is more than just a job. It's a chance to shape the future of finance.
well said. And who knows, maybe you'll be the one inspiring the next wave of financial gurus.
That's a wrap on our deep dive into the world of accounting managers. We've tackled technical skills, soft skills, career paths, and that big question of impact.
And whether you're a numbers whiz or just starting to dip your toes into the world of finance, there's always something new to discover.
So keep those calculators handy, those spreadsheets in check, and that moral compass pointed in the right direction. And hey, maybe you'll be the one writing the next chapter in the ever-evolving saga of accounting. Until next time, happy calculating.